first month of 2023 is over, and I feel like it was a pretty productive month on the video game front for me. I've completed a number of games this month, started some enjoyable new story games, and also continued to play games I've been enjoying from previous months. I'm hoping future months will continue like this one, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. Hope everyone else has also had a good start to their 2023. Now it's time to turn to what I've been playing over the past month. As I said, I was able to complete some games this month. I was actually able to finish up 3 games during January. 2 of the 3 games resulted in platinum trophies, which was a nice added bonus to start the year off with. The other game was a shorter experience that I played on the PC. So let's take a look at what I was able to finish up this month. The first game is Jak and Daxter. This was the first game that I finished for January. I was able to complete the last little bit of story that I had left to do. And then after that, I did a little bit of cleanup for the last few trophies that I still had to get at the end of that. It was mainly hunting down any leftover power cells or precursor orbs that I hadn't found yet. And most of this was really finding orbs. I don't know if I had too many power cells, maybe like 1 or 2 that I didn't have at the end, but overall, it wasn't too bad to wrap up. There were a couple places that I struggled to find the orbs a little bit more than others, but overall, it wasn't too bad. I am planning on having a review out for this game in the near future. It's actually the next review that I'm working on. Overall, though, I did enjoy the game. I did definitely notice that there were some dated mechanics and controls to this one, like I mentioned last month, that I just wished would have been a little bit more updated when it came to the PS4. I don't really know why it wasn't, but it wasn't. The second game is Gravitas. This was a shorter game that I finished this month. It's a free-to-play game that I found on Steam. This game only took about an hour to play through the story. It's a game that feels very inspired by Portal, only instead of using portals to travel the levels, you get to play with gravity at some sort of art gallery in space. I don't really know a lot about the story. There isn't really a lot to the story here and a lot of background information. It doesn't really give you a lot of details. While Gravitas was fun, it really felt too short and lacked a lot of the depth you find in the Portal series. As I already kind of mentioned, like the story setup and just like why you're there and everything, it's just really unclear. It doesn't have the depth of the Portal series in terms of story, in terms of mechanics, in terms of a lot of things. It is a fun game to play around with for an hour or so, and it's free, so you're not really losing anything. So if you've got time to do it, then go for it. But I do kind of wish that there was a little bit more to it. It felt like there could have been more to it, like that the mechanics could have been a little bit meatier and things like that. But it's a free game that lasted an hour and was fun. I am hoping to get a review out for this game sometime this month as well, or at least early in March if I can't quite get 2 more reviews out before the end, but we'll see. The third game and final game that I completed this month was 2064 Read-Only Memories. My focus here was on finishing up the trophies for 2064 that I had left in the game. I think last month or the previous month, I had said I had finished up the story for the first time, and I just was going back to this to kind of wrap up some of the trophies. And it wasn't too hard to get through the game a few more times with a hefty dose of dialogue skipping. That's not to say that the game is bad, it was just that going for the remaining trophies required playing through the game a few other times with other endings, and it either required responses that I wouldn't have normally done or repeating a lot of dialogue that I had already experienced. Now, a few of the endings required you to be a big jerk in the game, and I've never been super into playing as the jerk evil role in story games like this, and so I was really happy to be able to skip over some of the dialogue there. Admittedly, some of those choices and playstyles did lead to some interesting ending scenarios and kind of endings for the game, but yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of playing that way. Overall, though, it netted me my 90th platinum, and I was pretty happy with that at the end of it all. Now, for story games, I was also able to start a couple new games this month. I was hoping to get another one in before the end of January, but I wound up getting really into one of the games that I started and didn't wind up starting another new one at the same time. So the first game is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. I never really played any of the Ace Attorney games, but I had always heard really good things about them. Looking back, I find it kind of hard to believe that these games go back to the era of the Game Boy Advance. I never really had that handheld, so I never really played the series. This is a collection of the first 3 Ace Attorney games, and I'm currently on the 3rd case in the first game. And so far, I've been enjoying the game quite a bit. I like the combination of visual novel, adventure game, and the fact that it challenges you to use some real logic in the trials. None of it has been super difficult yet, and it may never get that way, or it may change and get more difficult as I get further and further into the game. But I have enjoyed kind of needing to use that kind of finding the holes in people's arguments kind of thing. It's always maybe a little bit overdone, like in real life, that's probably not the way things go, but it's been enjoyable as a game. Also, like on a random note, I feel like I've really been in kind of a visual novel adventure game streak over the last 6 months or so. This hasn't been intentional by any means, but here we are nonetheless. The second game is Marvel's Avengers. During the month, I heard that Marvel's Avengers was going to be delisted from digital marketplaces later this year. This is never really good news for a game, especially those that have online features. And since this game was a game that I've been wanting to play, this news moved it up the backlog quite significantly. While I had heard mixed to negative things about the game, I have been enjoying myself, at least so far. This has kind of been the game that I kind of got into and I've been playing much more regularly once I started it. Admittedly, it's not the greatest looking game ever, even playing on the upgraded PS5 version, but I have been enjoying the campaign story and gameplay quite a bit. Maybe things changed later on, or there's a lack of things to do after the campaign, but we'll see. So far, I'd say it's a game that is more good than bad, even though I do feel like it will be a fairly big grind to go for the platinum on, but yeah, I'm not thinking about that too much yet. Moving on from story games, I'll be focusing on games that I call endless games. These are games that don't have clear-cut endings. They can be more online PvP games, arcade, sandbox, creative, simulation, or party games. Some of these are games I enjoy quite a bit and keep playing, while others are ones that I play for a season and then move on from. So let's take a look at what I have in this category. The first is Fortnite. Chapter 4 Season 1 is still going strong. Sadly, it's a season that has had its fair share of issues. It feels like there have been all kinds of weapons, items, or abilities being disabled for a time due to glitches or exploits, and yeah, it just seems like there's been lots going wrong on that front. There's also the way they've been doing quests this season, I haven't been a huge fan of. They've basically been having weekly quests disappear after that first week, which is just annoying, and I don't know, I don't really feel like this is a good way to make your player base happy. I understand that they may be doing it to kind of keep people playing every week instead of just kind of coming in and doing them all at one time, but still, this doesn't seem like a very good way of going about it. I do think that they changed this with the last update, but still, it wasn't a good look, and I haven't liked it when they've tried this in the past either. The map also feels a bit empty still, as nothing has been really added since last month. It may sound like I'm complaining a lot, but don't get me wrong, I still enjoy Fortnite and have been playing it regularly. Sadly, our family has been a bit busier this month, and we haven't been able to play it nearly as much together as some months, but we've still managed to here and there. The second game here is Bloons TD6. Here's a game that I haven't played quite as much in January. I have dabbled a bit here and there, took part in a couple contested territories, but not quite as consistently as previous months. I was also able to beat a couple of maps in normal progression, but other than that, I didn't play too much. I think I was able to get all of the base heroes unlocked, which made me pretty happy. And we maybe played together as a family in co-op like once this month, but I don't think we did more than that. The third endless game is Cookie Run Kingdom. The long-running BTS event finally ended this month. I was hoping to get a little further in it than I did, but playing that mode required a bit more focus and time commitment than other modes in the game, so that didn't really happen, at least not as much as I'd hoped. After that event, we got into the second year anniversary celebration with some new levels added in the story mode. This month, I've been focused more on finishing up the first part of the Cookie Odyssey, as I hadn't really put a lot of effort into doing that. Part of it was also that I was stuck on the story and dark modes, and with the newest update, some of those levels were made a bit easier, which allowed for me to progress more and then be able to finish out the quests that gave you campaign feathers. So since I was able to do all that, I've been a little bit more focused on getting through the first chapter of the Cookie Odyssey. The fourth endless game is Marvel Snap. I've also continued to play Marvel Snap and really continue to enjoy it. I enjoy the style of game and the Marvel Universe theme that they have kind of on top of it. It's been fun to make some new decks this month after getting some bigger cards like Hela and the Destroyer. On the last day of the month, they added a little extra battle mode where you can play with friends. I haven't tried that out yet, but I know that my son and I really want to give that a shot sometime. I also just released a review on Marvel Snap like last week, so if you want to get more of my thoughts on the game, you can check them out there. The fifth endless game is Vault of the Void. As I thought last month, Vault of the Void doesn't really have much of a story, so I moved it over to the endless category. I played this game quite a bit at the start of the month. It's a fun game and one that is easy to lose track of time while playing, easy to do just one more round on. But I also admit that it does have its limitations and seems like it could get a bit too repetitive after a while. Could be that I've only played as one of the 4 classes, but I'm not sure how much that plays into it. I also admit that I have tried some of the challenge modes, and those were pretty fun. The game kind of dropped off for me during the second half of the month. I just wound up playing other things and didn't come back to this one as much, not really intentionally, just didn't happen. So I do feel like I need to get back to it soon and play a little bit more and kind of figure out more of my thoughts about it. And the last endless game for January was Minecraft. This is a game that probably doesn't need any introduction for people. We used to play Minecraft as a family fairly often, but for some reason we stopped, and I'm not really sure what that reason was, but in the last month, or maybe a little over a month, we decided that we should try playing it again together. Minecraft is one of those games you can play and lose all kinds of time with, and yeah, that's kind of been the way we do it here. You start playing, and then it's like, oh, it's time to move on to something else, or it's time for people to get ready for bed, and like, oh. We've been having fun finding a village and getting it kind of set up and rebuilt and easier to move around in. And especially since it's a village on the hill and some of the things would just lead to like big drop-offs. Well, also we've been building a base for ourselves to kind of set up with and have our chests and beds and things like that. So again, we've been pretty busy as a family, so our time to do this together has been pretty limited. We maybe played once or twice this month, but we've still been having fun with that. Finally, we have the games I'm working on trophies or achievements for. I may not get all the trophies in these games, but these are games that I'm kind of focused on that aspect of the game. Now, I wound up earning the Platinum trophy in 2064 this month, so that game missed this part of the list because I was able to stick it over on completed instead of the trophy list, and therefore I only really have one game in this category. And that is Gems of War. I've still been chugging away at Gems of War. I was able to get one trophy this month called Dragonflight. Other than that, I can't fully remember what I've been up to in the game. I know I focused on the Lunar New Year's event when it was released. I think other than that, I've been doing kind of a variety of things, delves, daily quests, and kingdom challenges. I've also been trying to work on getting kingdoms up in their own levels as well. There's just so many things to do in Gems of War that I don't always know where to focus my time on. And it's just kind of a grindy game, and it can require quite a bit of time to get things done in. But I still do enjoy it, and I enjoy it enough to put in a little bit of work throughout each month. That wraps up what I've been playing for January 2023. To be honest, it's a better start to the year than I was expecting. January is normally a pretty busy month for us, and it was this year as well. But I was still able to get a bunch of games in this month. Sure, some were a little on the short side, but I'm okay with that. It's still a game that gets off the lists of games that I haven't played yet, so it still makes me happy. How about you? What have you been playing for January 2023? Have you picked up any new releases over the month? Just been playing old favorites, games that you're trying to remove from your own backlogs? Let me know in the comments, as it's always fun to see what others are playing and if those games are worth adding to my own backlog. Otherwise, I hope that everyone had a great month and has been playing lots of fun games. That's all for this month, and we'll see you next time.